Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to tell you about all the books that I read in January. There weren't that many, there's only 4, and to be honest I was really disappointed with the ones that I read. None of them are above 3 stars. I don't know what it is, it's just... I was so excited about reading for the new year. I don't know if it's the book themselves or what, but they weren't great. They weren't terrible. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great. So, like I said, none of them are above 3. I will leave a link down below of all the books that are mentioned. But yeah, so basically, I'll get started. So I've read 3 fiction books and 1 non-fiction book because my goal is to read at least 1 non-fiction book a month. And that's been going well. Okay, so the first book that I read was Not in Want of a Wife by Amanda Kay. It was all over the place really. I think that's the one that bothered me. So basically it's a Pride and Prejudice variation. Well, they're all Pride and Prejudice variations this month. So Darcy and Elizabeth pretend to court. Then they pretend to get engaged. Then they call it off. Then Darcy ends up getting engaged to Anne. Then finds out that Elizabeth really loves Darcy, so he then proposes to Elizabeth whilst being engaged to Anne. Then Lady Catherine sticks her nose in and everything, and to save Lydia he has to break up with Elizabeth and marry Anne, but in the end Anne decides to marry someone else, and then Darcy gets to marry Elizabeth. But it was just too much toing and froing. It was not good. So like I said, 3 stars. The second book that I read was Ardour and Affection by Laura Maybrick. Again, nothing great. Basically Darcy lusts after Elizabeth while she's staying at Netherfield, and they court and marry quickly, and it was basically porn without much plot. So if you're into a lot of spice and no plot, you might enjoy the book. But for me, I mean, I don't mind spice, but I like more of a story, and there wasn't one. So again, 3 stars. The next one was called Just Deserts, and I'm pretty sure that the author meant just desserts because of what happened in the story. Also, I think that the author is possibly French because the name was Gruinard. I know I'm saying that wrong, but it only had that name. And yes, and they put desert, and I'm sure it meant desserts, because just desert doesn't make sense. So a peer neighbour befriends Elizabeth and teaches her about the real world, so she's not completely shocked about how disgusting men can be. When she ends up leaving Longbourn when she comes of age, because she was worried that they were going to make her marry Collins? I'm trying to remember. I think that's why she left. She goes to live with the Gardners. When she's in London, she's reintroduced to Darcy, and they court and they marry. But she also, before then, marries the peer neighbour, because the peer neighbour was dying, and so she gets like some of the money, and then she marries Darcy. It was fine. It was a different take. Again, not the greatest, but it was called Just Desserts because like everyone who was bad got, like all the bad characters, Collins and Wickham and Lady Catherine, they all had like, they got dealt with. Put it that way, they got dealt with. So that was good. Okay, so the fourth and final book is the non-fiction book. It is also the book of the month, and that is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Again, I only gave it 3 stars, which was disappointing because, excuse me, it was disappointing because I've heard a lot of good things about the book. Loads of people were giving it 5 stars. I'm trying to like broaden my horizons a bit, and it just didn't do it for me. Like, it wasn't quite what I was expecting, and I didn't love it as much as I was hoping to love it. I didn't love it. I tolerated it. But no, she basically goes on about, like, the only good thing is I did learn some stuff from it, like being consistent, even if you don't feel like it, just write. So say you want to become a writer, write every day, even if it's like 300 words, at least you've written something. If you are being blocked by whatever sort of creativity thing that you were trying to achieve, if you try and do something else, then it will sort of like refresh you. So say you're a photographer, maybe you're not getting the right picture, go and try and paint, and then maybe after you've tried painting, go back to the photography, and then you'll get your picture, which I sort of get, but I think it does depend on the sort of creativity thing that you are trying to achieve. Yeah, I did like that she used personal stories, like she has examples to back her story up, and it's all from like her experience, so I did like that. But yeah, I not a big fan. I have not read Eat, Pray, Love, so I don't know if I'll enjoy that book better. I don't know. It is a different way of thinking about creative living, I will give you that. But I just didn't love it. It wasn't for me. But it was the book of the month because it was this slightly better book of all the books that I read in January. What books did you read? Please give me recommendations, I'm begging you. I need better books. Also, I need books that are not Pride and Prejudice variations, because I've read them all now, I think. I know I haven't read them all, but I've read quite a lot and I would like to move on. So I would like some fiction and non-fiction recommendations if you would be so kind. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.